going to give you some advice from a retired corporate slave. At 17, I was cleaning toilets. At 21, I never needed to work again. I still worked, but I do it on my own terms. I work from anywhere in the world. I get the terms I'm comfortable with, and if I'm not comfortable, I simply get up and leave. And I'd still be able to survive even with no income, purely because of the years I sacrificed beforehand. How do you know you're not a corporate slave anymore? Well, that's when the amount of money you make from the investments you have, assets, is equal to or more than what you spend each year. I didn't have any experience, never worked any jobs before, no family connections, money, nothing. I was starting from zero. But one day I was able to get a job from cold emailing people, going into offices, getting rejected several times until one person, one company gave me a chance. And suddenly I was able to get some experience. The thing is, I was underpaid. I worked a lot, did the traditional 9 to 5 that most people do. You know, get up super early in the morning, commute to the office, come home exhausted, next day repeat it all over again. In the early days of my career, I was just so tired by the weekend that I'd just sleep every weekend, catch up, restart on Monday, be exhausted. Until one day I started to get pretty good at what I did. I go to my boss and I say, look, this is what I've done for the company, you know and I know, I think I deserve a raise. What do you think? He says, well look, I think you're doing great, but if I gave you a raise, I'd have to give everyone else one. And then at that moment I knew it doesn't matter how hard you work, in some places, you're not gonna get what you truly deserve. So after a few years of working at that company, I learned how to do things. I finally had some skills, some experience, and I had a bit of a network building up too, to the point where I started getting companies offering me to work for them. And the only way I could was after work. So I'd go and do my day job, I'd come home, I'd have a second job. That second job turned into a third, and at one point I had 4 full-time jobs at the same time. I was earning a lot of money, doing the exact same thing I was being paid for originally, but I was saving more, investing aggressively. And by the age of 21, without doing anything, I was earning more from my investments than it cost me to live each year, which meant that I was now a retired corporate slave. When I first got to that point of retirement, I went and traveled for months. It was fun, but after a while you get bored, and I didn't want to go back to a traditional office job. So I had some offers on the table because I'd created leverage. My advice to anyone who doesn't want to be a corporate slave is go and find something you're good at early on. Build relationships. Don't just be good at what you do, be great. To the point where people are fighting to have someone like you on their team. And then one day you're so good that you're getting paid more than you would have ever needed from a job. You'll get flexibility. The thing is, working so many jobs at the same time is unsustainable. You got to do it for a short burst of time and aggressively. I did it for 4.5 years. I don't do it now. I just work one job. I do something I'm interested in. When it comes to what work I do now, I could just quit if I wanted to. But the power is having leverage and optionality to do what you really want to do with your time. I like to do things differently. And one of the things I did was I'd network with people who were doing things different to me. If you work in finance like I did, go and meet doctors, people in the healthcare space, learn whatever it is about the outside world that you can, find out what their problems are, and then using what you're good at, try and monetize it. So to use an example I'd say I'm pretty good at sales, and I was doing it for companies already at the time. So I started meeting people in totally random industries where maybe they built good products, but they weren't able to sell them themselves. So when I became known as the guy who was good at selling things, it was pretty easy to pitch myself when they were looking for someone. Or let's just say you know somebody that's really great at sales, but they're not so organized, they're not creative, they don't know how to build products. Well, you can go and build a product and have them sell it. They're willing to pay you for that because you're solving a problem that they desperately need someone for. And just finding the right talent these days is very difficult. Normally, most people hire from those they know. And when you grew up like me, you didn't have any family connections, and you also had no experience. It's very hard to get a job opportunity unless you put yourself out there, or at least put the work you do out there without having to show your face. To be a retired corporate slave at 21, I had to make a lot of sacrifices. Didn't really have much of a social life. I was inside a lot. It wasn't a super fun life, but it was necessary, because the other option would be work till I'm 60 doing something I don't want to do and be stuck. One day you might get sick, Your employer says, we can't afford to have you in and out of hospital. And then they fire you. They let you go. You can't make ends meet. You might have kids, a wife, maybe even elderly parents to look after. And just the thought of that being a possibility to me was too much. So the sacrifice was necessary to never have to struggle in the way we did growing up later down the line. You might think working more than one job is insane, but it isn't. Literally, most people do a 9-hour job in 3. They just spend time watching Netflix in the background, chatting with colleagues in the coffee area, taking extended lunch breaks, staying later just to make your boss think you're working a lot, when in reality you're just wasting time. Going to the bar after work with your friends till late, coming back super drunk, waking up early in the morning, commuting another 2-3 hours. If you literally work 3 hours remotely, non-stop, uninterrupted, you get a lot more done than you'd think. For people going to school, you're probably doing 6 classes at the same time. 3 full-time jobs is literally less work. If you're not willing to make a sacrifice, less time relaxing and more time acting, then you're probably going to be a corporate slave for the rest of your life. And there's nothing wrong with being one. I think working a job is better than running your own business. I find it crazy. You go online, everyone's telling you you have to be an entrepreneur, otherwise you're stuck in the rat race. If you run your own business, you'll realize what the rat race really is. Running your own business isn't a 9 to 5, it's a 9 to 5 plus all the hours outside of it. I think being an employee is probably the best thing you can do if you're good at something. But if you're starting from zero, you need to think about how I can get to a position where I'm so desirable. Test different things, trial different things. Everyone thinks you need to be a programmer to make good money and be in demand. The truth is, you could be a wonderful designer to the point that 10 different companies are fighting over you. Or you can do freelance work for those 10 different companies. My school experience was pretty trash. I moved schools 3 times. I tried to find a place to fit in, but I realized it wasn't about being accepted. It was about finding something I thought I was good at. I wasn't great at art class, science class, even math class, none of them. But I really like business. I listen to these business podcasts, read about businesses. When I was bored, I'd even look into financial statements. I didn't know how to read them, but I kind of reverse psychology, try and figure it out. I found that to be fun. I wasn't getting paid for it. So I went and did it for other people for free to build some relationships. And eventually people wanted to pay me for the things I was able to do. So if you're really good at something, don't do it for money, but do it for other people to the point they realize you're great at it. And then build a reputation, work at companies, do great work, let people talk about you. And then suddenly you'll have what I had. I went from never having worked a proper job, I was cleaning toilets, right, to having companies give me several offers at the same time and compete against each other, which is very weird because I would have taken any job I could get at that same time just a year before. So if you're anything like I was, stuck in the corporate system doing a job that isn't giving you what you think you're worth, you might want to check out the link in the description. I know hundreds of companies that are actively hiring right now, hiring people that want to work extra jobs, and they want people like you. Also, if you want a full breakdown on how to get rich as an employee, you might want to watch this video.